I imagine regardless of what Netflix told us about the Disney exodus coming 2018, they're a little shook. They're in their boardroom and they're a little shook. They may say all the right things. You may not be speaking about it across your dinner table. They might not be talking about it at the water cooler at work. But the exodus of Disney from Netflix is a deal. Now, we've got another shoe to drop as Apple has decided to allocate roughly $1 billion in budget to procure and produce original content for Apple. $1 billion. That's not that much, right? Like you're not going to do a whole lot with $1 billion. Oh, that's just for this year. Just for this year, Apple is allocating $1 billion, or roughly thereof, $1 billion. But for 10 potential TV show projects, procure and produce. So who knows what they're planning on doing, but we know Apple's got a lot of cash. And we know that the only thing that's really missing is Apple dominating that market space. And they're not going to do it by them going out and purchasing Netflix. That's just not on the table. Apple already has enough people in their grasp when it comes to the iTunes platform. They have enough people, enough viewership, way more than you would get probably at an Amazon Prime level, while Amazon creates their own content too. And touche, everybody's trying to take over this market space. Netflix has their grips on a lot more stuff, but they just lost one of the biggest content providers in the world ever. I mean, there's no question about it when you lose Disney. So when Apple says, we're going to put $1 billion in a week later to produce some original content, and they got Hollywood vets Jamie Ehrlich and Zach Van Amberg from Sony in June, they're giving all this money to these guys. These guys are vets that have done this before. Apple knows this, and I would imagine they feel like this is a chance. This is a chance to take a little bit of the market space as Netflix continues to grow internationally, but domestically we see that viewership numbers, they're down per average, per person clicking on something watching Netflix. And while they continue to put out good shows, I've heard some of the newest shows they've got, Ozarks, there's something else, I've heard they're really good, but Apple's the only other one with the iTunes that's got people this entrenched in their platform. If they could get people paying all the time, and Apple has way more capital than Netflix does. Netflix has raised debt upon debt upon debt to get where they are. Apple's done it in somewhat of a different industry that now kind of just touches up upon this industry. Has for a long time with the music downloading and such. But I mean, now we're getting to the point where they are going to be a major content provider in what ostensibly is going to become what you think of and I think of as television, primetime television or movies. This is going to be the way it is it's going to be you pick a service, go point click on whatever device you happen to be watching on, and now you're watching episodes or a movie of something. Apple's the one that's in there as much as Netflix. Not to the point, but Netflix has a lot more money spent getting to where they are, whereas Apple has money to burn. $1 billion just this year. That's not even that much. Apple's got that. That's just the money they use to buy actual apples.